The resurgence of Houthi attacks has happened, and there is nobody there to defend these ships. In both of the cases involving Magic Seas and the Eternity Sea, the sequence of attack began with the vessel being hailed by the Houthis on unsecure communications.
Stop the ship immediately to check security action for your ship safety and crew safety. Stop the ship immediately.
This really means that the Houthis are reaching out to the ship to make contact with the ship and demand that they either stop in the water or turn towards Yemen, or they will be attacked. When the ships refuse to respond to the Houthis, then the Houthis escalate, and we saw in both recent cases the use of USVs, anti-ship cruise missiles, anti-ship ballistic missiles, and unmanned surface vessels. The unmanned surface vessel, this is possibly the most dangerous type of weapon that the Houthis can use. This is again controlled by a remote control, and it's a speedboat that's been redesigned to hold explosives in the front and is driven into the side of the ship. And so the water will then ingress into the ship, which causes severe flooding. We're in the hundreds of kilograms with USVs versus up to probably 50 kilograms in a UAV. The volume of explosives is significantly higher. Other weapon types are anti-ship cruise missiles and anti-ship ballistic missiles. And the difference here is that anti-ship ballistic missiles travel much faster and carry a heavier warhead, which inflicts quite significant damage on the ship, much more than a cruise missile. If you look at the footage, you see the first launch of a missile. This is an anti-ship ballistic missile, and you can tell that it's pointed more vertically than the second missile that was launched from the horizontal position almost. The anti-ship ballistic missile flies a different flight profile, and so it's almost in a bell shape, and you will see from the Eternity Sea footage that there was a hole directly in the top of the hold, and the aim here is to penetrate and go through as many decks as possible and then explode inside, causing maximum damage. The Houthis are the first actor in the world to successfully engage a ship using an anti-ship ballistic missile, not a state actor, not Iran, not Russia, not China, but the Houthis. At this stage, the crew will be considering abandoning the ship. Before this stage, the crew would have been mustered in the Citadel, which is a safe compartment within the ship, and it is designed to protect the crew if the ship is to be attacked. The windows are smashed. There is smoke coming from just in front of the bridge superstructure. You can hear the audible alarms. And then the crew are mustered at what looks like the crew muster point in life jackets, once on the survival suits, which means they are looking to disembark the ship and embark a life raft and await rescue. Well, the aim here is not to target crew. The goal of the Houthis is not loss of life. It's purely economic pressure on Israel to stop activities in Gaza. With Eternity Sea, the damage inflicted by the drones, the missiles and the USVs was sufficient enough that the ship sunk. The initial attacks against the Magic Seas didn't immediately sink the vessel, and so the Houthi fighters boarded the ship and placed explosives and then detonated it once they were clear of the vessel, which subsequently sunk the ship. They would just use ladders, any means to get on. We've seen helicopters in use before. Not that was the case here. We saw with the Galaxy Leader. It's almost a carbon copy of the IRGC tactics in the Strait of Hormuz. If the ship is low enough in the water, they could just board from the skiffs that they're using to surround the vessel. The Houthi fighters on the skiffs that were approaching the ships were reported to have RPGs, rocket-propelled grenades. Sinking the ship isn't the main objective here. It's strategic messaging to shipping companies that continue to call at Israeli ports, and this is a message that they will continue to be attacked if they transit the Red Sea. We're seeing between 10,000 to 15,000 ships at the moment that potentially fit the Houthi target profile. There's possibly an element of complacency from the shipping industry because there's a huge pause in attacks, and now the resurgence of Houthi attacks has happened, and there is nobody there to defend these ships.